The Mongol hordes gathered at first light, their vast encampment stretching beyond the horizon like scattered pearls across the steppes. Each warrior knew this day would test their legendary prowess against impossible odds. Their enemies numbered in the tens of thousands, yet doubt never touched their steely gazes. These horsemen had conquered empires through cunning, speed, and an unbreakable code of loyalty that bound them together like steel links in a chain. General Subutai sat motionless atop his midnight stallion, eagle eyes surveying the approaching dust clouds that heralded their enemy's advance. Decades of warfare had carved deep lines into his bronze face, each scar telling tales of victories against overwhelming odds. His warriors looked to him now, trusting his tactical genius that had never failed them. The enemy believed numbers would crush the Mongols, but they underestimated the deadly precision of nomad warfare. The valley floor became a canvas of impending carnage as the two armies faced each other across the windswept plain. The enemy host stretched like a metal serpent across the horizon, their banners fluttering proudly in the morning breeze. Against their thousands, the Mongol force appeared insignificant, mere specks of brown and gold scattered across the grasslands. Yet within those scattered warriors burned the fierce spirit that had toppled mighty kingdoms through superior mobility and tactical brilliance. Discipline flowed through the Mongol ranks like water through a mountain stream, each warrior moving with practiced precision as they formed their deadly tactical formations. Their horses, bred for speed and endurance, pawed the earth with barely contained energy, sensing their riders' focused determination. These nomad warriors had spent lifetimes mastering the arts of mounted warfare, their bodies moving in perfect harmony with their steeds. While their enemies relied on brute force and heavy armor, the Mongols trusted in speed, accuracy, and the devastating power of their composite bows. Prince Jalal al-Din surveyed his magnificent army with the confidence of one who believed victory was already assured. His golden armor gleamed like captured sunlight, reflecting the adoration of his countless soldiers who trusted in his noble blood and superior numbers. 10,000 warriors stood ready behind him, their armor and weapons representing the finest craftsmanship of the civilized world. How could these barbarian horsemen possibly withstand such overwhelming force? The prince smiled, already envisioning the glory that would follow this easy conquest. The first Mongol arrow arced through the sky like a deadly prayer, its trajectory calculated by generations of nomad marksmen who had perfected the art of mounted archery. One by one, thousands of arrows followed, darkening the sun as they blotted out the morning light with their deadly rain. These were not random shots but carefully aimed missiles, each warrior knowing exactly where his arrow would find its mark among the enemy formations. The composite bows, crafted from horn and sinew, possessed power that could pierce armor at impossible distances. Steel rang against steel as the Mongol arrows found their targets, each impact sending vibrations through the enemy shield wall like thunder through mountain valleys. The civilized soldiers had never experienced such accurate volleys from horseback, their training proving inadequate against nomad tactics honed by centuries of survival on the harsh steppes. Arrow after arrow pierced gaps in their defenses, finding flesh where armor failed to protect. The enemy commander's confident smile began to fade as his warriors realized they faced opponents unlike any they had encountered before. Like ghosts vanishing into mist, the Mongol cavalry wheeled away from the enemy lines with supernatural coordination that defied belief. Not a single warrior broke formation or showed hesitation as they executed their tactical withdrawal, their horses responding to subtle commands that seemed almost telepathic in nature. Behind them, arrows continued to fly backward with deadly accuracy, each shot finding its mark without slowing their retreat. The enemy soldiers watched in bewilderment, their heavy infantry unable to match the fluid grace of nomad horsemanship. Prince Jalal al-Din's face darkened with fury as he witnessed his enemy's mocking retreat, their tactical precision revealing the amateur nature of his own forces. His shouted commands echoed across the battlefield, but confusion reigned among his soldiers who could not comprehend how warriors they had surrounded could simply vanish like smoke on the wind. Discipline began to crack as eager soldiers broke ranks to pursue the retreating Mongols, their heavy armor becoming a burden against enemies who fought like shadows. The prince realized too late that he had been drawn into a trap of his enemy's making. Behind the shelter of rolling hills, the Mongol warriors regrouped with the efficiency of a well-oiled machine, each man knowing his role in the deadly dance that would soon resume. Their horses drank deeply from the clear stream, replenishing strength for the trials ahead while their riders checked weapons and shared quiet words of encouragement. General Subutai studied the enemy movements through his small telescope, reading the signs of growing disorder among their ranks like a scholar deciphering ancient texts. Soon the civilized soldiers would learn the harsh lessons of steppe warfare. Disorder spread through the enemy army like wildfire through dry grass, their rigid formations dissolving into chaos as frustration overtook discipline. Some soldiers cast aside their heavy armor, seeking relief from the weight that now seemed like chains binding them to failure. Others pursued shadows and illusions, their horses laboring under burdens that made them easy targets for nomad archers. The prince's shouted commands fell on deaf ears as his warriors lost all cohesion, becoming individual targets rather than a unified force. The Mongols watched and waited, knowing their moment would come. The Mongol charge erupted from behind the hills like thunder breaking across a summer sky, thousands of warriors emerging from concealment with war cries that chilled the blood of their enemies. Sabers gleamed like captured lightning as they caught the dying sun, each blade thirsty for the blood that would soon flow across the battlefield. The earth itself seemed to tremble under the thunderous hoofbeats of horses bred for speed and endurance, their riders leaning low in saddles as they bore down on the disorganized enemy formations. This was the moment the nomads had been waiting for. Korlo's face twisted into a mask of pure battle fury as his horse thundered toward the enemy lines, years of training and ancestral instinct combining in this single moment of destiny. His saber caught the sunlight like liquid fire, the curved blade singing through the air as he prepared to unleash death upon his foes. Behind him stretched thousands of brothers in arms, their war cries rising like wolves howling at the moon. These civilized soldiers would learn that barbarism, when guided by superior tactics and unbreakable spirit, could shatter any army no matter how numerous. Steel met steel with the force of destiny as the Mongol charge crashed into the enemy lines like a tidal wave striking a crumbling shore. Armor that had seemed so formidable moments before proved inadequate against the speed and precision of nomad blades, each warrior striking with the accuracy born of lifelong practice. The civilized soldiers found themselves fighting not organized units but individual demons who moved like lightning, striking and vanishing before counterattacks could be launched. Blood painted the dust red as the Mongols carved through their enemies with surgical precision. General Subutai's tactical genius revealed itself in the devastating flanking maneuver that struck the enemy's weakest point like a hammer blow from the gods themselves. His elite guard, veterans of countless battles, carved through the enemy rear ranks with the precision of master craftsmen wielding deadly tools. Behind them, the entire enemy army began to crumble as their carefully laid plans dissolved into chaos and panic. Soldiers threw down their weapons and fled in terror, their noble commanders' promises of easy victory proving as empty as desert winds. The Mongol archers surrounded their trapped prey like wolves encircling wounded prey, their deadly arrows coming from every direction with the inevitability of fate itself. No matter which way the enemy soldiers turned, death flew toward them from invisible hands that seemed to possess supernatural accuracy. Shields proved inadequate against the relentless volleys, arrows finding gaps in armor that their wearers had never imagined existed. The civilized warriors who had marched to battle with such confidence now faced the harsh reality that they were hopelessly outmatched by nomad tactics refined through centuries of survival. Prince Jalal al-Din fought with the desperation of a cornered animal, his golden armor now dented and bloodstained from the carnage that surrounded him on all sides. His sword swung in wild arcs, seeking to break through the ring of Mongol warriors who had marked him for death. Behind him lay his proud banner, trampled into the earth like his dreams of glory and conquest. The noble prince who had marched to battle with such confidence now realized that his civilized tactics were useless against enemies who fought like demons born of the steppes themselves. The Mongol warriors moved through the battlefield like reapers harvesting grain, efficiently binding their defeated enemies and collecting the weapons and armor that would serve their own purposes. Hundreds of prisoners sat in dejected silence, their dreams of glory and easy victory replaced by the harsh reality of defeat at the hands of barbarian horsemen. Yet even in victory, the Mongols showed their tactical superiority by continuing their methodical cleanup operations, ensuring no pockets of resistance remained to threaten their hard-won triumph. These civilized soldiers would soon learn that captivity among nomads was far different from the chivalrous treatment they had expected. The captured officer trembled as the Mongol warrior sat across from him, patience incarnate as he waited for information that could save his prisoner's life. Years of experience had taught these nomad warriors that fear was often the key that unlocked the most guarded secrets, and so they waited with the calm certainty of those who knew time was on their side. The civilized man, accustomed to giving orders rather than receiving them, found himself unnerved by the Mongols' quiet intensity. Soon he would reveal everything he knew about enemy reinforcements and strategic positions, adding to the intelligence that had already doomed his army to defeat. The Mongol camp blazed with victory fires as the warriors celebrated their latest triumph over impossible odds, sharing captured food and wine with the easy camaraderie of brothers who had faced death together. Their prisoners sat in silent groups under careful guard, watching their captors with a mixture of fear and grudging respect for the tactical brilliance that had shattered their army. Above them, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, witnesses to yet another victory that would be added to the growing legend of Mongol invincibility. These nomad warriors had once again proven that superior tactics and unbreakable spirit could overcome any numerical disadvantage. While his warriors celebrated around the victory fires, General Subutai bent over captured military maps with the intensity of a scholar deciphering ancient mysteries. His weathered hands traced routes and fortifications with the precision of one who understood that every victory was merely a stepping stone toward greater conquests. Around him, his officers gathered like students around a master, absorbing every detail of enemy dispositions and strategic weaknesses. The captured maps revealed fortresses and supply routes that would fall like ripe fruit before the Mongol tide, each piece of intelligence bringing them closer to their ultimate destiny of empire. The Mongol warriors examined their captured trophies with the practical eye of craftsmen assessing tools, comparing enemy weapons and armor to their own superior equipment with quiet satisfaction. Their curved sabers, forged from the finest steel and balanced for mounted combat, proved vastly superior to the straight swords of their civilized foes. The heavy plate armor that had seemed so formidable in battle now appeared cumbersome and impractical compared to Mongol leather and lamellar protection that allowed freedom of movement. These barbarian horsemen understood that their greatest weapons were not steel and leather, but speed, precision, and tactical brilliance. The bond between Mongol warrior and horse ran deeper than blood itself, each partner understanding the other's needs without spoken words as they tended to injuries and fatigue after the day's carnage. These horses were not mere mounts but trusted companions who had carried their riders through fire and steel to victory against impossible odds. Their leather tack, worn smooth by countless battles, showed the signs of careful maintenance that kept these nomad warriors superior to any cavalry the civilized world could produce. While their enemies treated horses as beasts of burden, the Mongols understood that their steeds were partners in conquest. Even in victory, the Mongol warriors never relaxed their vigilance, sentries standing like dark sentinels against the starlit sky as they scanned the darkness for any sign of threat or opportunity. Their horses grazed peacefully nearby, trusting their riders to protect them as they had protected their human companions through countless battles. Behind them, the camp slept in the aftermath of victory, but these experienced warriors knew that complacency had claimed many a successful army. The night held secrets that only the most alert sentries could uncover, and their enemies might yet find ways to strike back. The few enemy survivors who had escaped the Mongol slaughter crouched in the shadows of nearby hills, their tattered uniforms and broken weapons testament to the overwhelming defeat they had witnessed. Fear and hatred warred in their hearts as they watched the enemy camp celebrate their victory, fires blazing against the night sky like beacons of their own humiliation. These soldiers had marched to battle with the confidence of those who believed civilization would triumph over barbarism, only to discover that their sophisticated tactics were useless against nomad cunning. Now they faced a choice between surrender and death. Dawn brought the Mongol warriors back to their eternal rhythm of movement and conquest, their camp dissolving like morning mist as they prepared for the next stage of their campaign. With practiced efficiency honed by years of campaigning, they packed their equipment and saddled their horses, each warrior knowing his role in the greater symphony of conquest. Prisoners would be integrated into their forces or sent to serve as laborers, while captured supplies would fuel their advance toward the next target. These nomad warriors understood that victory was merely a moment in the endless dance of war and movement. General Subutai's voice carried across the assembled warriors like the call of a hunting hawk, each word carefully chosen to inspire and instruct his nomad army for the trials ahead. His weathered face showed the confidence of one who had never known defeat, his tactical brilliance having guided countless victories against impossible odds. The warriors listened with the attention of students to their master, knowing that his words would determine whether they lived or died in the battles to come. Behind them, the camp waited ready for departure, supplies loaded and horses eager for the next stage of their endless campaign. The Mongol army flowed across the grasslands like a river of steel and leather, their columns stretching beyond the horizon as they advanced toward their next conquest with the inevitability of natural forces. Dust rose from their passage like incense offered to the gods of war, each warrior scanning the landscape for signs of threat or opportunity. Behind them, pack animals carried the supplies that would sustain their campaign, while ahead lay new enemies who would learn the same harsh lessons as those who had faced them before. These nomad warriors were not merely an army but a force of nature that could not be stopped. Corlo's eyes never stopped scanning the horizon as his horse carried him toward whatever destiny awaited beyond the next ridge, his face showing the determination that had carried him through countless battles against overwhelming odds. The wind whipped through his long hair like the spirits of his ancestors urging him forward to greater victories, while his leather armor creaked with familiar comfort. Behind him stretched thousands of brothers in arms, each warrior sharing the same unbreakable focus that had made them masters of the steppes. These nomad horsemen understood that every journey was merely preparation for the next battle. The Mongol scouts thundered back to their main force like arrows returning to their quivers, their horses showing the signs of speed and endurance that made them superior to any cavalry in the civilized world. These riders carried intelligence that could mean the difference between victory and defeat, their reports detailing enemy positions and movements with the accuracy that had made Mongol campaigns legendary. The main army continued its steady advance, knowing that their scouts had already identified the next targets for conquest. Information flowed through the nomad ranks like blood through veins, keeping the entire force coordinated and deadly. The enemy fortress rose from the landscape like a stone fist raised against the sky, its walls and towers promising the kind of challenge that made Mongol warriors' blood sing with anticipation. These civilized fortifications, built by engineers who understood siege warfare, would test the nomad tactics that had proven so devastating against field armies. Yet the Mongols had learned that no walls could hold against their determination, and no towers could protect enemies from their tactical brilliance. The fortress commander, watching the approaching dust clouds through his spyglass, began to understand that he faced not just an army but an unstoppable force of nature. The Mongol engineers worked with the efficiency of master craftsmen, transforming raw materials into deadly siege engines that would breach the fortress walls through nomad ingenuity rather than brute force. Their construction techniques, learned from conquered peoples and improved through practical experience, created weapons that could hurl stones and fire with devastating accuracy. Warriors assisted with the heavy lifting, their strength augmented by the knowledge that victory depended on these machines working perfectly. Inside the fortress, enemy soldiers watched with growing dread as they realized that barbarian horsemen could match any civilized engineering with their own tactical brilliance. Fortress commander Rashid al-Malik's face grew pale as he witnessed the Mongol siege preparations through his spyglass, recognizing the deadly efficiency with which these barbarians transformed simple materials into instruments of destruction. His archers lined the battlements with practiced precision, but doubt crept into their hearts as they realized they faced opponents who had never known defeat. The siege engines rising from the nomad camp possessed a crude elegance that spoke of practical experience rather than theoretical knowledge. This fortress, which had never fallen to any army, now faced enemies who understood that walls were merely obstacles to be overcome through superior tactics. The Mongol archers took their positions with the calm precision of artists preparing for a masterwork, their composite bows ready to unleash death upon any defender foolish enough to show himself on the fortress walls. These nomad marksmen possessed skills honed by generations of hunting and warfare, their arrows capable of piercing armor at distances that seemed impossible to civilized archers. Each warrior studied the fortress defenses for weak points, knowing that their specialized arrows could disable catapults, kill commanders, or ignite fires that would consume the enemy stronghold. The fortress walls, which had seemed so formidable from a distance, now appeared vulnerable to eyes trained by years of conquest. The first Mongol barrage crashed against the fortress walls like thunder from the gods themselves, massive stones flying through the air with the force to shatter stone and steel alike. Enemy soldiers dove for cover as the nomad siege engines demonstrated their deadly accuracy, each impact sending tremors through the fortress foundations that rattled the defenders' confidence. The civilized engineers who had designed these walls had never imagined facing opponents who could match their own technical expertise with the ruthless efficiency of steppe warfare. Stone chips flew like deadly hail as the Mongol barrage continued, each shot calculated to weaken the fortress defenses for the inevitable assault. Beta's hands found holes in the stone wall with the precision of a mountain climber, his feet seeking narrow ledges that would have challenged the most experienced fortress defenders. The grappling hooks and ropes that had carried him up the seemingly impregnable walls now lay coiled behind him, their purpose served as he pressed forward toward the battlements above. Enemy soldiers hurled stones and poured boiling oil from above, but the Mongol warrior moved with the fluid grace of one born to conquest. Each handhold and foothold had been calculated in advance, his assault choreographed with the same precision that had brought down mightier fortresses. Steel rang against steel on the fortress battlements as Mongol warriors fought with the fury of demons released from hell itself, their curved sabers finding gaps in enemy armor that civilized soldiers had never imagined existed. These nomad warriors moved across the stone walls with the agility of mountain goats, leaping from parapet to parapet while their enemies struggled with heavy armor that hindered rather than helped their defense. The fortress defenders, accustomed to fighting from secure positions, found themselves overwhelmed by opponents who turned their own walls into battlegrounds. Each Mongol warrior fought not just for victory but for the glory that came with conquering the unconquerable. The fortress commander's sword fell from nerveless fingers as he witnessed his last loyal soldiers throw down their weapons and raise their hands in submission to the barbarian horde that had shattered his defenses. The proud fortress that had never fallen now lay in ruins around them, its walls breached and its defenders broken by the relentless assault of nomad warriors who understood that victory belonged to those who refused to accept defeat. Mongol warriors accepted the surrender with the efficiency of conquerors who had learned that mercy could be more effective than slaughter. These civilized soldiers would soon discover that captivity among the Mongols was far different from anything their noble blood had imagined. The Mongol warriors celebrated their latest triumph around fires that blazed against the starlit sky, their voices raised in songs of conquest as they displayed the banners of their defeated enemies like trophies from a successful hunt. The fortress that had seemed so formidable now burned behind them, its stones witnessing the fate that awaited all who dared oppose the nomad tide. Prisoners sat in silent groups under careful guard, watching their captors with a mixture of fear and grudging respect for the tactical brilliance that had brought down walls that had never fallen. These barbarian horsemen understood that every victory added to their legend and brought them closer to their destiny of empire. General Subutai's weathered hands sorted through the captured treasure with the satisfaction of one who understood that wealth was merely fuel for greater conquests, each piece of gold and silver representing resources that would sustain his army's advance toward ultimate victory. His officers bent over captured maps and documents with the intensity of scholars deciphering ancient mysteries, each piece of intelligence adding to their knowledge of enemy dispositions and strategic weaknesses. The fortress had yielded not just weapons and supplies but information that would prove invaluable in the campaigns ahead. These nomad warriors understood that every conquest brought them closer to their destiny of ruling the world. The captured enemy soldiers found themselves transformed from defeated foes into valuable additions to the Mongol war machine, their civilized training proving useful when directed toward nomad objectives rather than against them. Mongol warriors patiently demonstrated their superior tactics and equipment, showing these former enemies how curved sabers could outmatch straight swords and how composite bows possessed greater range and accuracy than their heavy crossbows. The integration process flowed smoothly as experienced Mongol officers guided their new recruits through the techniques that had brought down mightier armies. These civilized soldiers would soon discover that their skills were far more effective when employed in service to Mongol conquest. The Mongol army flowed away from the conquered fortress like a river returning to the sea, their columns stretching beyond the horizon as they advanced toward new conquests with the inevitability of natural forces. Behind them, the fortress continued to burn, its stones witnessing the fate that awaited all who dared oppose the nomad tide. Warriors scanned the landscape for signs of the next targets, their eyes sharp for opportunities that would bring greater glory and wealth to their khan. These barbarian horsemen understood that victory was merely a moment in the endless dance of war and movement, each conquest serving as preparation for the next campaign that would expand their empire toward the ends of the earth. Corlo's face showed the quiet satisfaction of one who had proven his worth in battle, his eyes reflecting memories of victory even as they scanned the distant horizon for new challenges that would test his skills and courage. The burning fortress behind him marked another milestone in his journey toward legendary status among the Mongol warriors, each conquest adding to his reputation and bringing him closer to the glory that every nomad sought. His leather armor, worn smooth by countless battles, felt as comfortable as a second skin while his weapons hung ready at his side. These barbarian horsemen understood that every departure from conquered territory brought them closer to their ultimate destiny of ruling the world.